Hello, YouTube, and those that part of the Cringe Crew community Discord, and those that follow Ted and I on Twitch. I am Traductus,
And I'm Ted.
and this is the wrap-up episode of the James Bond Review Podcast, which is a podcast where a James Bond superfan, and Ted, who was a newbie and saw a couple of the films, wasn't necessarily a fan. We would, watch the James Bond movies and then compare from me being a super fan and him being a newbie to the series. And this is where we have the wrap up episode where we actually compare things, talk about different things that we like, because we have also ranking of the James Bonds, top 5, bottom 5 Bond villains, villain deaths, henchmen, Bond women, and Bond theme's not necessarily in that order.
Yeah.
So, as per usual, we're winging it.
Yep. Completely winging it.
We are going to compare and contrast our movie list. So, no background information. No, basically, I guess there are likes and dislikes, but just going over.
Yeah, we're totally messing with the standard format of this one, but I guess we're gonna start with ranking.
Budget on this is $2.
Yeah. Yeah, Stallman bought a soda before we started.
Actually, water.
Even better.
Yep.
But all right, I guess if we're starting with our list of movies, I'm gonna pull these up on screen. I won't have them available the whole time, but feel free to pause and check these out. Each of our respective lists is up and over our face. I think the interesting part of these lists, obviously they're very different, but I don't see many on this list where the numbers for us are super far apart.
Yeah, there isn't. That's the cool thing I think about this, is how even though there are differences, they're very subtle. I mean, if you look at the bottom,
yeah, the bottom 5 is just the same 5 movies, just re-ranked.
The bottom 3 are the same. It's just I like Diamonds Are Forever less than Dr. No.
Yeah.
And you like Dr. No less than Diamonds Are Forever.
I think the largest difference is there's 7 spaces, and that's the furthest I think anything on our list separates.
Yeah.
You had where is it? Because I just saw it. It was, I don't see it, but License to Kill is 7 spaces apart. Man with the Golden Gun is 6. Yeah, most of these are very, very close together, which I think is pretty cool. There isn't a whole lot of distance. It's not like something that was my favorite was Stallman's least favorite. Everything was close together. So, I just found it interesting that we mentioned several times these are the sacred cows, and then even just being a casual fan, they were still kind of in similar places. I don't know if we lost Stallman or not. Yeah, we did lose Stallman. All right. Yeah, I was saying right before your thing disappeared was that License to Kill was 7 spaces apart, and I think that's the furthest one. Beyond that, everything else was pretty close together. I find it interesting that as a Bond fan, right, that there's sacred cows or this movie's embarrassing, right, or whatever, but they all kind of ended up in the same place for all of us. It was pretty neat.
Although I'd say Man with the Golden Gun's lower than mine, which I have that's the biggest shocker to me, is that a movie that consistently gets ranked at the bottom for a lot of people, it's you're number 12. Especially right above GoldenEye.
I get that it was corny, right? I do. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I thought its good pieces were there. You know what's funny to me is as we were going through and we were doing our research for top 5, bottom 5, I found a lot of times where movies that I had ranked really highly, I was like, man, this thing sucked. How did this end up here? Just kind of wondering to myself again how I did that.
All right. Well, what's funny is that on my Bond villain list, there's a villain from a movie that I ranked low.
Yeah.
It's like the movie sucked, but the villain's good. What I think is really funny is that there's like films where like you didn't necessarily like, but I really liked, and I have them lower than you. Case in point, Goldfinger. I have it one step below you. I liked Goldfinger, but I understood like its flaws, and somehow
Yeah.
it's one above you. After you were like bitching about that movie
I
after we watched it.
Yeah, it's very weird how that movie became like a starting point where to rank it on my list. Like I was like it being in the top half for a while there as we were ranking them in one by one surprised the shit out of me because I hated that movie. Like I really did not enjoy it, but like it became the threshold for which I measured other
Right.
movies.
Which to be honest isn't not surprising because that's often considered like the gold standard of like, the Bond movie formula. Like that's kind of like where they said that's the movie where they perfected it. Even though like we both obviously think From Russia with Love is a way better movie.
Yeah.
But um that being said, obviously our number ones are different. Like I like Skyfall cuz like to me I think it was just well put together, well, you know, despite the fact that the plot's very basic. But yours is From Russia with Love.
Yeah.
Also, your number two is Octopussy, which
Yeah.
if this was me like 5 years ago, or like when Spectre came out, I would have thought you were an insane man. But like going back, there's like a lot of movies such as like Thunderball, uh, um, obviously Octopussy, even Spectre, like, are movies that I didn't really care for a while, and then I rewatched them. It's like, no, these are good. I mean, I wouldn't say Spectre's good, but for what
It's
for it's not terrible.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too how like I mean, you went into certain movies like, all right, this is what you can prepare for. Like, I really like this one, or this one was really crappy, and then like, so my eyes were being
It,
opened to them for the first time, and you were watching through the lens of like rewatching or showing someone else, and I
yeah,
think to some extent, like both of our influence played parts in what the two of us did and didn't enjoy.
right. Also, back to From Russia with Love. Um, I stated this before. Like, well, they were asking like different Bonds their favorite uh Bond movie. Both Timothy Dalton, Daniel Craig, and even Sean Connery said their favorite movie out of all the series was From Russia with Love. Um, with Roger Moore, his was I think Spy Who Loved Me or uh, For Your Eyes Only, and Pierce Brosnan's was Spy Who Loved Me because Pierce Brosnan was a huge fan of the Roger Moore. But like three out of like, and I don't know what Lazenby's answer was.
Yeah,
I'd have to look and see if somebody actually asked him a question because he did actually has a he actually they actually did make a documentary on George Lazenby's one time as James Bond, and for what I hear, it's actually really good. So I'll have to check that out in the future. But
what's
uh,
interesting to me about From Russia with Love too is that like that one stood like through time, right? Like
yeah,
we obviously had to watch things with a filter of hey, it's 2022. Like
right,
some of these things aren't okay, but From Russia with Love has been my favorite one on the list, literally since the second movie we watched. Like just
yep,
it's as much as I can say that like as an overall whole, Daniel Craig's movies are significantly better than any others. Like he still didn't
right,
crack the list. Like From Russia with Love really stood it. It was neat.
yeah. Yeah, it's well put together, and it's also a cinematic landmark. Like Doctor No's considered a cinematic landmark, but like it's definitely of its time, and to be honest, it's a cinematic landmark because there were no movies like it at the time, and there was no real movies like From Russia with Love at the time. But you could actually see the genre boundary pushing with that movie for the time, like especially with like the action scenes with the helicopter and everything, the suspense, just everything well put together, including the humor.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I mean, it was a really, really well crafted movie, and the fact that that's the standard that, like, I mean, by some people's measurements, still can't be aspired to. 25 movies after the fact.
Yeah, and a lot of cases, like if it's not like a lot of Bond fans will have it, it'll fluctuate, but From Russia with Love's always kind of on the top. But like if you look at like Watch Mojo or something like that, like or other listing sites and like YouTube pages, if it's not Goldfinger number one, it's gonna be From Russia with Love, like hands down. Or if it's somebody that's uh a '90s baby like me or you,
Yeah,
although you're a little different,
fair.
but because you have Goldeneye at 13.
Yeah,
I have it at number 6, which is kind of probably blasphemy for these people,
yeah,
the James Bond fans. But like Goldeneye will be number 1. But like it's rather awesome that you being a newbie that it really kind of to me. I'm not sure. I think it kind of shows like how good of a movie From Russia with Love is that someone that hasn't really seen like especially with you like you didn't if I remember right you didn't see any of the Connery ones before this, right?
nope.
Yeah, and like that just kind of shows you right there like for I mean even Haley said that she goes don't like Sean Connery but this movie was okay.
Yeah, she's
So
she's a kind of unfair measuring stick. She really hated most of these, but yeah, no, I agree. Like, its ability to stand the test was really good. You want to start moving into other categories?
uh yeah, we can do that. Just mark it down that I want to wrap for like the end of it all thinking about like or actually now we can do it right now. Where would you as like a newbie think would be a best starting place? Like would it be like how I did it with you with like Dr. No and going through them all, or would like more recent ones like Goldeneye or the Daniel Craig ones first?
I I think if the goal was for somebody to watch all of them, right?
Right.
Like, I think doing it in the order we did it would make the most sense. I would skip both of the early versions of Casino Royale. Well, like I get what like ours was to be completionists, and the
Right.
way we watched them was not to ruin the plot of Daniel Craig's Casino Royale, right?
Right.
So like I get why we
Obviously,
did it, but
you don't want to get someone into Bond with Casino Royale 1954.
right. But I also think that like they're very much not the same formula, not the same films. I think those would be difficult to put on that list anywhere. But
Right.
otherwise, like I think the ones that people like completely new people would enjoy these movies are to just watch Daniel Craig. Like they're
Right.
I think as if you take one actor's pieces as a whole, I think that Daniel Craig's are significantly better. But like you mentioned, as we were watching, when they revealed that it was uh, Blofeld, right? Like,
Right. Right.
I also think that loses some value if you haven't seen the earlier ones. So I
Right.
think watching
Yeah.
them chronologically makes the most sense.
Okay. So I did it right. I did it right.
I-
And I'm so glad that, you're just like, for as much as you dislike, Dr. No, when I showed Casino Royale 1954, it's like, I could see why you started out with
yeah.
Dr. No and not
Well,
this.
and I think too that like it also helps that some of Connery's better films are towards the beginning, right?
Right.
Goldfinger, obviously From Russia with Love, like the earliest Connery movies really build that formula for
Yeah.
you and actually stand up pretty well.
Yeah.
And
Thunderball, oddly enough, which is all over the place with rankings. And, we both were just like, this is like really good. It's just the underwater fight scene should have just been shorter.
yeah, I like just his early movies were among the better ones. It really gives you an idea of what Bond's about, and while I think that watching one a week for God almost 8 months
Uh,
is very long and tedious, but I also recognize that like if the goal is to watch them all, that this happened in a good fashion. I'd be a
yeah,
little more
I
choosy to go back and choose which ones to rewatch, but
obviously Moonraker because that movie just kind of shows even though it's terrible, it's enjoyable enjoyably
Yeah.
terrible enough where you're just like, yeah, just have a couple brews and just laugh. Uh, but anyway, all right. So we're gonna get into rankings. I say order of importance. I say we'll go with like henchmen. You want to do top five first or bottom five first on that?
We can do top five. Do you want me to go in specific order, or do you just want me to have my group of five? Because I'm gonna have to wing the order, but I do have five, just winging the order.
I have it in order, but if you want to like either wing it or just present five, that's fine.
All right, I'll wing it. I'll stick them in order.
Okay.
We're going 5-1.
Yep.
All right. Fifth for me is Batista.
I
All right.
forgot about we talked about
All right.
this. Mr.
Listen.
Hughes.
As much as I made fun of Batista being in that movie, and how the fuck did they cast Batista and think it was okay, right? I know we made a talking point of that, but genuinely, his fitting into the role, like, I mean, as far as what a henchman is supposed to do, it was a pretty good job.
Right.
Like, I do think that he may have died a little early for what they needed him for, like trying to
Right,
drag bodies
right.
out of a car, and it takes three people, but Batista could lift a dude up with literally just his thumbs in their eye sockets, right? So maybe he could have provided a little more usefulness, but I thought he did a good job. I mean, like hit all this the right notes, like was obviously physically intimidating, threatening, like presented danger, and got himself involved in a not over the top way, but just enough role to be a henchman, not a villain.
Right.
It was all right.
Hmm.
Um, did you want to do the whole list, or do you want to go 5-1 each?
Maybe we can go 5-1 each.
All right. Well, then hit me with five.
All right. Mayday from A View to a Kill. Mainly just because Grace Jones knocks it out of the park. She actually has like a pretty decent and like it's a pretty decent like arc with her actually switching sides where it makes a lot more sense than Love at First Sight with like Jaws. So to me it's kind of like almost like Jaws done right.
Yeah.
And she steals every scene that she's in unless Christopher Walken's in it, and she obviously makes A View to a Kill very watchable just because of her performance is just amazing.
Yeah. Not to spoil my list, but she's outside looking in for me. It was a really a tough one to keep off the list.
Right.
Very tough one to keep off the list. At four, I genuinely messaged Stallman about this one because I didn't know how to feel. I threw in Mr. White.
Oh, nice.
I had a tough time with this one because I didn't feel like Mr. White was the henchman, but I also felt like is never really the main villain in any of the films he appeared in. Uh,
Yeah.
I think that he contributed very greatly to the plot. I think that like he played a very important part in order to make those movies develop, and like becoming an important character. I would have felt bad leaving him off this list. Like he was so important and so recognizable. Like it would be very hard to not include it.
Yeah, unfortunately he's not in my villain list or my henchman list, but like it was a tough one leaving him out.
Yeah.
Uh Number 4. All right. Uh Ted Green Eagles' Russian counterpart, Boris from Goldeneye. Just because he's so freaking slimy, he like honestly, he's like a character that makes you like fucking fall in love with him. You kind of, even though he is like a bad guy, you sort of root for him every now and then, despite him being a cocky son of
Yeah,
a bitch.
that one's fair. I
Especially with
kind of
like,
forgot about
yes,
Boris.
invincible, which I'm like, that's Ted playing Fall Guys.
I kind of forgot
That
about
Alan
that one.
Cumming
That's a
just
good one.
knocks it way out of the park. Like Alan Cumming's a good freaking actor to begin with, like especially like X-Men 2, him as Nightcrawler. It's a shame that he didn't come back for other X-Men movies because like he didn't want to spend like 8 hours and getting makeup put on him again, which I don't blame him on that. But like it was like such an impact that every time I'd play the James Bond video game, like multiplayer, I would always play as Boris. Just because,
Yeah,
just for how freaking cool it was. My main gripe with Boris is just he dies. That's
yeah,
my main gripe. But obviously like a huge impression, like a lot of people, every time like they see Boris, like, hey, like that guy. And So I have him as number 4.
That was a good one. I kind of forgot about Boris, to be honest with you. That was it was like Ted's
I
Russian counterpart. What do you? Ah, Boris. I forgot. I totally forgot. Um, in at number 3, I have Zhao. Um, I
That's a good one. Oh man.
I okay, I had to do a lot of research to make this list happen. Like I had to go back and look at almost every plot line again to remind myself how people fit in. But he was so like menacing and threatening. Like it wasn't a huge character part, but it was a huge impact. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was really well done. I thought the threatening aspect of it was neat, and being introduced right off the bat, like really added how imposing of a character Zhao was.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the better things about Die Another Day.
Uh,
Even though like the whole gimmick of like diamonds in his face is kind of stupid. But
Very
it
much so.
makes a good visual.
It
It does make a hell of a good visual.
absolutely.
And there's a reason why they had, Johnny Trent
Yeah,
for Fast and the Furious be Zao.
absolutely.
All right, we're at number 3 now.
Yep.
All right, Xenia on a top, GoldenEye.
Okay.
All right, I think Barry helps that because he would talk about Famke Janssen nonstop. But also, like, she's like, she was like a great henchman, as in, like, she was good at making people feel uncomfortable. Like, yeah, she's like a beautiful femme fatale, but like, once like the crazy came out, it's just like, oh my god. And she also, puts up like a fight against Bond, like in a numerous times when they face off. And then, when she finally dies, which is a lackluster death. The remake video game for GoldenEye actually, I think, has like a better death. It's similar, but like, uh, instead of her getting squeezed onto a tree and stuff like that, she actually get the helicopter like goes down a dam and she gets like launched, over the dam. But to me, it's like not only does she like make like the audience uncomfortable, she makes like her co-villains uncomfortable, like General Oromov, like seeing her like basically like orgasming while she's mowing people down, just like ew. And it's just another like above and beyond, like, it is a little over the top, but it's like that right amount over the top where you're just like, yeah, this really, really works, and it just leaves like a memorable picture. And I don't, despite people like really liking like 006, I think like the henchmen in GoldenEye really like uh kind of outshine everybody else in that movie. Although I don't have Oromov on my list, despite the fact I loved him like drinking out of the freaking flask
Yeah.
while being chased by the tank. But yeah, Xenia on the top, number 3.
All right. In at number 2, I have Knickknack. Um,
Oh, he was actually my number 6.
I adored Knickknack. It was just such, like, first off, everything a villain would ever want a henchman to be is just, hey, here's your shit, let me help you out, right? Like, just did everything he needed to do. But also the idea that Knickknack just kind of wanted the villain to die the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
Like just the whole time, just like, hey, if he dies, he dies. I hope it happens. Like whatever, man. But like, just it was such a well written character, so funny. I very much appreciated Knickknack.
Especially like the end, like he's attacking Bond. Why? Because Bond blew up everything that he was supposed to inherit.
Yeah,
He has like legit, like he's like, you son of a bitch.
yeah. Motivations were fantastic. Loved it.
Yeah, that Knickknack, yeah. Speaking of which, my number 2 is the person that obviously the people that play the video game, and this might have to do with like fucking nostalgia on that because I see like Boris, Mayday, and Xenia are all playable characters in the multiplayer for
Yeah.
GoldenEye the video game. I did not intend it that way. But the person that is not a little person, Odd Job, Goldfinger, played by the professional wrestler Harold Sakata. To me, Oddjob is like the quintessential like Bond villain. Like he has that obviously that special ability thing with him, like, throwing like the hat, which is an iconic scene, him throwing
Mm-hmm.
that hat. Also him crushing like the golf ball. But like him just kind of playing off of like Sean Connery and like other people. And despite it not being a role with like speaking, like does very, very fucking well. And he is like does a good job at being very imposing
Yeah,
as a
I had Odd Job as number one for just about the same reason. It was it no truly it was like it was a well written role, and the way that they wrote Odd Job in was be physically imposing when you're here. Don't necessarily be the main focus when I'm not here. Like it was really really strong when the character was present, and you could kind of like just let them be a henchman somewhere else when they weren't on screen.
Yep, I totally agree. He's not my number one though. My number one is Red Grant from Russia with Love.
Okay.
And spoiler alert, he's on a different list, despite me considering him a henchman, just because uh reasons. Because like Ted, it's like we might have did some a little bit of cheating for like
Yeah.
the villain deaths.
Yep.
So,
Definitely. I definitely had some cheating. It's fine.
but Red Grant, honestly, Bond's counterpart throughout that movie, and the fact that he has a background presence throughout that movie, where he's basically stalking Bond throughout that film, and you just see him at little parts where he's like, "Well, I need to get like the lectern." So therefore, Bond can't die right away. So he's like his guardian angel along the way while leaving a trail of bodies
Yeah.
until he's able to face off against James Bond. And uh more or less he like, he beats James Bond. Like Bond is at a point where he's begging for his life. And if it wasn't for Red Grant's greed, he would have like, been the guy to kill James Bond as opposed to the British government shooting a bunch of missiles
Yeah.
on an
It
island.
would have been a very short series had Red Grant finished the task. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, but like, I got no, not I think Mike. Damn it, I think it's not Mike Shaw. Can't remember the actor's name, but he's quit from Jaws. Like he did a really hell of a good freaking job. Robert Shaw, I think that's what his name was. Which is kind of weird seeing like, wow, that's what Quint looked like 10 years ago before Jaws. Like, but like again, it's just kind of like I know that basically the yin to Bond's yang is Ernst Stavro Blofeld, but um, I'd say like henchman wise, it's Red Grant. Like plain and simple for how equals they are and how like they were even like when they finally face off, how they play off of each other is just done brilliantly.
I would agree. I would agree. It was hard for me to go back that far and give that much credit there. Like even for as much as I love From Russia with Love, it was very hard for me to put a henchman on that list.
Right.
Do you want to roll straight into bottom five?
Yep.
All right. my fifth worst henchman is also Batista. Who the fuck cast Batista for that role? Who I'm not even mad at how he played it, right? Like that's not even like a single solitary factor on it. But who the fuck cast Batista for that role?
I can just picture. All right. Xenon Mike obviously loves this part of the list because this is the meme.
Oh man.
All
Yeah.
right. You got more?
No, for Batista, it's just who the fuck cast Batista for that role? Who
And
goes
also,
Bond needs a henchman and cast Dave fucking Batista? Who the fuck?
and on top of that, why bring in Batista, who's physically imposing? You're just like, you know what he needs? Metal fingernails. You know what
Yep.
he also needs? A giant pistol. Because apparently, him being big with metal fingernails wasn't imposing enough. He needs a giant freaking like Desert Eagle type of gun.
Oh god.
Uh, my number 5 is Mr. Keel from Die Another Day.
Okay.
Mainly just because he's only there for that line, like, I am Mr. Keel. And Bond's just like, well, there's a name to die for. And then he ends up just dying because he's an idiot. And it's just like, all right, so Zal's just like, all right, so are you just gonna shoot Jinx, or are you gonna use lasers? Oh, I'll use the laser. And then you have that awful freaking laser fight. So he's just there for that line that's stupid to begin with, and then his death is even stupid. Like, there's no reason for him to be there, except for just a one-liner.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a good one. That's a good one. In at number 4, you're gonna have to help me, Stallman, because I put it on the list, but I'm now drawing a massive blank. Is Denby from Spectre?
Denby.
All right. So I guess we can say we put him on the list because he wasn't memorable enough to even remember why I did the research to put him on this list.
Is he C?
I'm googling it now. Denby from Spectre.
He's the guy that...
No, he was the guy that was running the operations behind. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm filled in
yeah.
again. I'm filled in. All right, so basically, the reason that I put him on this list, now that I've jogged my own memory, is that, like, he was just kind of being a front-facing role, a bureaucrat for what was otherwise a very good movie. Like, for Silva and I guess eventually, like, Blofeld, to run the entire, like, operation of Spectre, the entire reconnaissance thing, he was just a pencil-pushing Democrat. His only job was to discontinue the 007 program, and then 007 ruined his existence.
You mean diplomat?
No, I meant bureaucrat. He's a pencil pusher.
Oh, I thought you said Democrat for a second.
Did I? Okay.
Yeah.
I meant bureaucrat. Anyway, no, I very much believe that he was not a Democrat, especially because they don't exist in the UK. It's what are the two major parties? I don't remember.
There's the Conservative Party. There's also a Liberal Party, and then there's the Labour Party.
Yeah,
they have a multi-party system because Parliament.
Yeah, but yeah, no, did not mean Democrat. If that's what I said, I meant bureaucrat. But regardless,
don't want Ted get in trouble here.
Somebody come yell at me. I dare you. But I'm clearly a moron who doesn't know what I'm talking about. So. But yeah, I thought that, like, while it was important enough for the movie to have that role exist, I don't know that, like, it was very well done. I just think it was kind of, like, boring.
Yeah, he is very boring, and when he's supposed to be kind of sinister and everything, you don't really get it. You're just like, well, he's just a cock.
Yeah, it was just it was a placeholder for the plot to continue existing, and I don't think there was necessarily a way around it, but it made him a very not fun henchman.
All right, my number 4 is Vargas from Thunderball, and to me, I think, like, back to Thunderball, it's like if that was like a season for like a TV series, there probably be more, like, character development to have more background with, like, a lot of the henchmen, because there's a lot of henchmen, like a lot of characters and henchmen in Thunderball that just get thrown in there, and, like, obviously, like, even though she's not on my top henchman list, like Fiona Volpe, you know great henchman, and it's like Vargas is kind of like the other henchman, and it's like, well, he's not the uh charismatic angel of death of Spectre.
Yeah.
He's like, he does serve a role, like he's the guy that Largo has keep an eye on Domino, and he just has like goofy looking eyes, wears sunglasses, and then gets shot with a spear gun by Sean Connery, going, I think he got the point.
Yeah.
And again, literally there for like a one-liner, like looking goofy in a one-liner, and the only reason why, like, he's basically higher on that list is that at least Mr. Keel, with that line, I am Mr. Keel, as dumb as it is, it's memorable. Vargas isn't really memorable. Like, people remember, I think he got the point, but to them, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just some random, like, henchman that's nameless. It's like, no, he actually has a name in there and a purpose, and he's just completely forgettable.
Yep, I would agree with that. At number 3, I put Jaws, and I know that's probably not a popular opinion, but, like, it's just such a shitty character. Like, of all of the henchmen to be around multiple times, it's just like, this guy's got a metal jaw, and he looks like shit. He's gonna beat you up. Like what? What is the I didn't get it. He provided no value to me. Just fucking goofy.
Yeah, to me, like, I could have put Jaws on either list. Like, to me, it's like you only not you only live twice. I meant Spy Who Loved Me, Jaws. I would probably put like on the best thing, but then in Moonraker, they just turned up the fucking Wile E. Coyote factor and just made him just a goof,
Yeah.
and it just killed everything like scary and sinister about the character. And even then, there's like a lot of goofy stuff in Spy Who Loved Me. It's done sparingly enough where it's like, you know, uh, where you don't really notice it, but like in Moonraker, God, like,
I just thought
jeez.
of all of the henchmen that could be around for multiple films, Jaws was probably the worst choice, and then
Right.
they didn't give you any background to Jaws other than metal in his face, go punch things. I didn't get it.
I don't blame you there. Like, Grant, I like Richard Kiel. I think he's a really good friggin' actor. But like, uh, if fucking Moonraker doesn't show it, oh my god. Um. All right, we're at number 3.
Yep.
Hans from You Only Live Twice. Do you remember Hans?
Very, very vaguely.
That's why he's on this list.
Okay.
Because he's literally a background villain until he's not. Where Donald Pleasant is just like, hey Hans, here's the keys that makes everything work. Make sure Bond doesn't get it. I'm going to escape. And then Hans is just like swinging the key around like, oh right, I actually have a part in this movie. And then Sean Connery just makes short work with him. And on top of that, the villain death, the henchman death is stupid. You know why? He gets thrown into the piranha, river thing, like the piranha pool. Ellen obviously has like the Bond line, Bon Appetit. Again, another guy just for the frickin' line. But
Tropes, huh?
we seen that death before earlier in the movie
Yeah.
from number 11, Helga Brandt. Spoiler alert, she's my number 2. We'll get into that after we hear your number 2.
Just take it over. You got to transition, dude. Do it.
All right, yeah. But anyway, Hans is literally like a dude in the background, and then he's not. And it's just like, okay, so now he's just important. Oh no, he's not important. And we already seen the death before, so it's like, wow, it was done okay like the first time, but like seeing it a second time, it's like, did we really need to see someone fall in that piranha pool a second time? And my answer is like, no, we definitely did it, especially since like he's supposed to be like this big, huge, robust German type of guy, and then like Sean Connery just like couple judo chops, judo throw, hey, he saves the day.
Yeah.
Uh, all right,
All right.
Helga Brandt, number 11. Okay, the actress that plays her plays the role very well. The issue is she is the worst fucking henchman when it comes to following instructions. She's supposed to kill Bond. What does she do instead? She sleeps with him, and instead of like, killing him afterwards, because I guess, it's like, he's a dashing man. You've heard stories about James Bond. We're just like, I wonder what it's like to actually, be with him. She doesn't kill him like right away afterwards. No, she takes him on a freaking airplane and then, ejects herself off the airplane, hoping the airplane crashes and kills Bond. And it's just like, you wonder why, and then she wonders why she gets thrown in the piranha pit. Maybe it's because you chose the most convoluted fucking way. You had like three opportunities to kill Bond, and you screw it up every frickin' time just because you're like, oh, this would be a cool way to get rid of him. Have him crash in the frickin' jet that I was flying to begin with.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I forgot
Stupid.
about her, but that was pretty fucking stupid.
So stupid.
At number 2, I have Baron Samedi. Look, cool looking character. I recognize the implications towards other Bond influences, but just did nothing for this fucking movie.
I will agree. Like he does have like an opposing like there is like
He's
it does
imposing.
have the voodoo imagery, and he is like a voodoo like uh lack of a better word like demigod, but they
Like
could have implemented it more. It's just like they
they
don't really do much
they
with
could
him.
have cut him from this movie entirely, and it wouldn't have made a difference. It just
I
like
agree.
there was like it's on this list for me because big, notable, important. Like all over the movie, you see him a million times, but like you could have cut every scene that he was in, and like the movie might have actually been better flowing. It just did nothing. Lived at the
Yeah,
end, so there was never a big conflict. Like just I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I'll say that is a cool ending with him like laughing on the freaking train. But that's all that people talk about him is that and his laugh, and it's just like there's nothing else.
Yeah, no substance, nothing. That like big important. They got a very like specific character out of this, and it just didn't do anything for the movie. Um, Up
All
to number
right,
one then is less of just a what the fuck, but also a how the fuck. Is Teehee from Live and Let Die.
that's a weird. That's wow.
Okay, so
He's actually well liked. I'm interested in hearing this.
okay, so the idea is for me that it was literally the laziest possible way they could have ever created this character, right? It was
All
very
right,
clearly just an extra long jacket sleeve and he's holding the bottom end of a hook. You can see where his fucking wrist bends inside his shirt sleeves, right? Like
right.
it's not necessarily that the henchman himself was bad or badly played. It was just really terrible, lazy movie writing that just made this character a complete and total meme for me. I couldn't ignore it. This one didn't. This one genuinely, like the research was going back to look at his name because the entire time I'm thinking about him, like, what's that asshole's name? Holding onto his fucking
They
hook
see
hand.
Teehee, and you're like, haha, Teehee.
Yeah, exactly. Like lazy name, lazy way to write the character. If you want somebody to have a hook hand, at least don't let him like wave his wrist around like a fucking magic wand and Harry Potter kind of shit. Like just no, no. This was a complete and total meme.
All right, speaking of memes, number one, the henchman that's shaking the gun on Golden. Now, I'm just like, Goldfinger, no, I'm kidding. I make sure they had names. If I would have concluded nameless henchman, that dude would have been on top because that is the most ineffective henchman ever. But no,
He's in a gunfight and he's literally just got his gun, both hands like this, like he's trying to melee something, not shoot it. And like the gun noises are happening as he's shaking his gun. He's only in it for a quarter of a second, but it still makes me so goddamn mad.
yeah, Richard Stamper, Tomorrow Never Dies. I almost had Gupta on this list, but here's the thing. Gupta's cool things were cut from the movie. So therefore Gupta didn't really, that's why he didn't make my list, because I can't really blame, somebody that's like, I was cool, but my scenes were cut. Stamper's in this the entire way, and he is the most freaking boring, generic goddamn henchman ever. Like, he looks like dollar store Dolph Lundgren mixed with like Billy Idol. And to me, Billy Idol hasn't looked like intimidating since like the 80s. And even then, it's just like you can't really find someone like intimidating when their main hit, before White Wedding and everything was I'm dancing with myself.
Yeah.
So, but no, Richard Stamper, guess what he does? He stabs, and there's something about chakra torture that is said briefly, but like he's literally just a dude that's just like, yeah, I'm a bad guy. I have so much attitude because it's the 90s and I look cool. And there's just nothing there at all. And the fact that you just see him throughout this entire thing, like he has like a vendetta against Bond because Bond like uh killed his mentor, who also could have been on this list. I can't remember the hell I just know he's like the doctor. I can't remember
Hmm.
what the fuck, uh, just because of his ineptitude. But like, and even then, like Stamper has like a lot of ineptitude things with killing Bond. Like, there's so many chances where he can and then fails to do so. And
Ropes, huh?
it's to me, it's like they tried going with like oddly enough, uh the blonde dude from Die Hard. It's like they tried going with that guy,
Yep.
but couldn't figure out a way. It's like Elliot Carver's just like, if this was the same universe, well, that guy's dead, so I'm just gonna get the next best thing. Here's Dollar Tree version of that dude. and it just irked me. It just freaking irked me, and I love Tomorrow Never Dies. As a matter of fact, it's my number, and I think that's your number one Pierce Brosnan film too,
I
or
think so.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it
Huh.
is. So like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
such a
tough.
letdown. It's such a letdown that the henchmen in that movie are just such ass.
Yeah. All right.
Uh,
Before we get into our next category, I'm going to cut the recording just to make sure OBS doesn't crash. Give us 2 seconds for technical difficulties.
I mean, okay, I guess we'll go with like Bond villains.
Okay. So I'll start running through these a little bit quicker, but top 5 villains. Fifth. Oh man, this is going to be where it's tough to start BSing my way into a ranking. I guess I'll go with Goldfinger. I'll go with Goldfinger.
Wow,
I'm
this
sure
is a
that
surprise.
right. I'm sure that surprises you to be on the list, right? But I, as much as I
Just
despise
because
this
it's
movie,
you, if someone told me Goldfinger, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. Just because it's just you and how
yeah.
much you bitched about that movie.
I look, even as much as I hated that movie and didn't think it was good, even my likes when we did that podcast, you can go back and check the tape, was that the villain was well developed, had a very thorough plot line, like knew what he wanted to do. There was high level of execution. It was thought out.
And Kurt
The
Schroep
reveal
had a
was good.
blast.
Yeah, he did. He did. But I thought Goldfinger was the highlight of that movie that I did not enjoy. So it was hard for me to keep Goldfinger off the list.
Yeah, I actually don't have Goldfinger on there. My number 5's Raul Silva, Skyfall.
I'm surprised it's
Just
that
because.
low. Wow.
Oh, trust me, like I'm kind of surprised too, but like the other ones I just liked a hell of a lot more.
Fair enough.
And it's honestly what it came down to was his death.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I nitpicked on that, but no, he is such a brilliant villain, well developed, obviously very very psychotic, trying to get to like his means of like um killing M. Oh, and also like at the end, it's like he's like I finally it's me and M one on one, but I can't do it because it will kind of sort of end my purpose. So like he's trying to have her kill her and kill himself so that way his whole arc and plan is like done. That, and also like Javier Bardem just plays him so well as like just completely psychotic and then charismatic at the same time, and the fact that everything that he has is like well thought out. And on top of that, he misses that Bond trope of like, oh yeah, Bond's dead, who cares? He's just like, make sure he's dead, like look for his body in the rubble.
Yeah. He was a really good villain. In at 4. Oh,
Also, I like the scene with him like taking his freaking teeth
yeah.
out. His face just drops. Like the CG doesn't hold up that well, but it's still pretty cool. Just to like, it just all just freaking drops.
Yeah. Yeah. In at number 4, I have Largo from Thunderball.
Wait, five. Oh yeah, sorry, 4.
5
Yeah.
is
Oh,
Goldfinger. Yeah,
Lark.
Largo from Thunderball. Very enjoyable villain. Definitely made the movie enjoyable for me. I liked Largo
Very
a lot.
underrated villain.
I agree. Largo was good. I liked Largo a lot.
Anything more?
Not really. I mean, just a really good classic villain. Like in a movie that I enjoyed. Like really brought the whole thing. Like
Yeah,
definitely
I
gave you
think
a sense of Bond versus villain. Like I don't think you do a whole lot better than Thunderball.
yeah, I mean, it's also nice that he's someone that's actually leading the team as opposed to like somebody in a desk.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. My number 4, Kamal Khan, from Octopussy. He's such a sleazeball. Every scene that he's in, he just plays off of like Roger Moore's James Bond very freaking well because they both are very antagonistic to each other. And what's really nice is that Kamal Khan's just like, we should kill this guy right away. And then everybody's like, no, we're not killing him. I insist. Like he's gonna fuck everything up. We should kill him. No, we're not. I'm like, all right. And then he's like, oh, hey, Bond escapes. It's like, all right, we're gonna have a tiger hunt, and then I'm just gonna like, say like we had a tiger hunt. Unfortunately, he died in the tiger hunt. So sorry. I'm sorry. He had to make something convoluted to do it as a way to not piss off Octopussy and ruin the whole plan. But what's even better about that is um also the whole thing of like he does screw up once and does like a stereotypical Bond villain type of thing where like Bond is going to the tent where the nuclear bomb is going to go off and he's just like, yeah, there's a nuclear bomb there, good, he's gonna die in the
Yeah.
explosion. Which, when you're thinking about it, there was, how would you know
Right.
know that he was gonna, work his way out of that? But like, just a very charismatic sleazeball, and when he does like try to lie his way out of things, it's not convincing, but it's purposely done not to be convincing.
Yeah. All right.
So like Kamal Khan, just because like obviously the smartest freaking villain there, and again, as low as he is because his like death is really stupid. At least to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Also, the top three have a lot more in depth with their character
Yeah.
than Kamal Khan does.
Yeah. At number three, I'm gonna put Silva. We talked about him pretty extensively in that podcast, and Stallman just kind of reviewed it here, so I don't need to lecture you. But very well thought out villain with very clear motivations and thoughts. Just really well done character. Really well done.
You know what it does to you? Hydrogen cyanide?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, knocked it out of the park.
What you got at three?
Uh, Electra King, The World Is Not Enough.
Okay.
Um, just because, like, the layers with that character are really great. Because, like, at first you think, like, she's, like, the main Bond woman. She's, I meant not her husband. I meant her dad is killed by the dude that, kidnapped her, and you think like like Renard's coming after her, and then you find out with that great twist that she's actually the main villain and is orchestrating everything and manipulating Renard, like the
Mm-hmm.
person that you think was the main bad villain, she's manipulating, and then you find out like like not only is it a great revenge plot against her, against her, family and MI6, and then also trying to gain by cornering the oil market. So she's also getting revenge on like the competition of like the oil barons that her pipeline is competing against, and then also Renard, the guy that that the guy that kidnapped her. She obviously tricked him into thinking that she fell in love with him and that she loves him, and he's literally going to kill himself for her. And just all that together, the fact that you feel bad for the henchman, like Renard, like the person at the beginning that you're just like, this is the big bad guy. This is the guy that you're gonna be glad rooting for, that James Bond is fighting against. And then when you find out like he's being manipulated and everything, it just hits so freaking hard, and it's just like, oh my god, it's like that poor, like he's a son of a bitch, but that poor man,
Yeah. All
and
right.
it's just a well done villain.
I agree. Yeah, the twist was very solid. We'll talk about more Renard later, I'm sure. Um, at number two, I have Scaramanga. Um, I, I mean,
Christopher Lee, baby.
I feel like Stallman knew this one was coming from me, but um,
It's
he.
Christopher Lee. That's all you need to know.
No,
He's good at everything.
I very much thought that the intricate nature of that villain was very cool. It's a lot of the reason that movie is ranked so high for me. When Stallman has given me shit so many times for it that it's higher than it ought to be. But I thought Scaramanga was really well developed, was really interesting in the head. Like just the whole nature around Scaramanga was really really cool for me.
Yeah, like, oh god, oh god. I'm like, damn it, I didn't put him in my top because you know me. I'm a huge Christopher Lee fan, but yeah, that works. Number twos, right?
Yep.
Uh, Latusifer Safin.
Okay.
Uh, just well done. Like Rami Malek, like knocked it out of the park. The fact that he's um again again a vengeance. What the fuck is why I have so many freaking vengeance people here?
Yeah.
Vengeance on Spectre, but also going way too far with like trying to make the world a better place. Obviously with like good intentions by like getting rid of like the evil in the world, but then turns into a genocidal maniac that's also obsessed with Bond's love interest, and like he's just so unsettling and creepy throughout the entire freaking thing.
Yeah.
And it's so subtly done and menacing that it's like you might not notice it like the first time you watch it, but like the second time you're just like, oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I know we went into it at length in the last podcast. He's my number one for what it's worth.
All right. I
I
think you know who my number one's gonna be.
I have a guess. I think that like just like between the way that the character was written, the like way Rami Malek played the character, like I don't think villains in any movies, let alone Bonds, get better than this. Genuinely, just such a good character. I encourage you guys to go back and listen to the last podcast and listen to how much we raved about Safin, because it was such a good character.
And this was tough. This was tough for me because he could have easily been my number one.
Mm-hmm. But your number one is drumroll.
Ernst Stavro Blofeld on Her
Yes.
Majesty's Secret Service. So yeah, Telly Savalas, not Donald Pleasance, although I do like the look of Donald Pleasance more than Telly Savalas, but like very charismatic. I love how like his version of Blofeld isn't some dude behind a desk. It's someone like, if I have to, I will go out and get my hands dirty if I have to. And on top of that, like when they're trying to cut through like I guess plot holes through his whole villain plan, he has a backup for everything on it, and it's all enough seems very foolproof. And both things like Safin and Blofeld again kind of have like a pandemic type of thing when it comes to like their villain plots, and oddly enough, since COVID, it's very relevant and honestly kind of scary that it's like, no, this can be really done. Like, you just picture like if this was like before COVID happened, it's like, oh, this is laughably done and dumb, and then now we're just like, oh no, that is possible. But my main thing here is that both Safin and Blofeld are the two people that actually made a blow to Bond.
Yeah.
Safin made it so that he could never see his kid and his I guess, well, not necessarily wife, but
Love
lover,
interest. Yeah.
love interest to be together at all. Blofeld on Her Majesty's Secret Service, kills Bond's um wife on their wedding day. And to me, Bond doesn't suffer a whole lot with Safin because he like kind of dies shortly right afterwards. Like he has this little heart to heart and then dies.
Fair. Fair.
Even though it's loose continuity and stuff, at least with like Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton and even like Pierce Brosnan, where they don't necessarily like mention her names per se, but like when 006 goes, it's like women that you failed to save, and it's like it really shows like this is ongoing suffering. Like there's no like solace at all with her dying. It's just tragic, and like it kind of like destroys him
yeah.
more or less. Because to be honest, like all the Bond films after On Her Majesty's Secret Service aren't really like they hit different,
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like the movies themselves kind of have an arc where that's like the dime flip where they're just never the same. I'm not saying like they're not good again. Obviously, like
Right.
they're they're good in quality, but like it seems like a lot of cases, and that could be just be change of like James Bonds and how like they're portrayed. But like it seems like in Roger Moore's case, a lot more concern is put through like the Bond woman. Um and as opposed to like Connery, where he's just like this playboy that doesn't really, give two shits. And then, after the wife dies, it's like, oh god. Now, granted, Diamonds Are Forever, going back to Connery, kind of erases all that shit. I like to pretend that Diamonds Are Forever does not exist in that continuity with that, but like even then, he kind of hesitates a little bit when um he asks like Moneypenny. It's like anything else she wants. She goes, a diamond ring. He even kind of like gives her a look. It's like, are you serious? And
Yeah.
then he finally has a quip. So there's a 1 second of a somber moment. And to me, I think I think Tracy's death would have more of an impact with everything with like the original continuity than, even even like if he couldn't physically see like his physically be with like his love interest and daughter, he could still talk to him on the phone, Skype, at least he knows that, like there's some point where he can actually speak to them at some point, even though he chooses death at this point. But with Tracy, it's like he'll never see her again.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Yeah, I'd agree. We'll get into bottom five villains. I know this one's already going long. We're already pushing an hour, so we'll try and speed things up a bit. Um,
Sorry.
that's all good. It happens. A lot to talk about. All right. So bottom five. Number five for me. Is Zoran as Christopher Walken as Zoran.
Oh.
Look, um, like I couldn't get past the fact that it was Christopher Walken. First off, like like not that I have any problem with Christopher Walken, but it never felt like a character. It felt like just Christopher Walken
Christopher
dyed his
Walken.
hair blonde and had an ego, right?
Right.
Also thought he was overshadowed by his henchmen a lot
Yeah,
of the
but
time. And
yeah,
then the climax of the movie just like I don't know, it didn't really pan out for me in a way that like I didn't feel a whole lot for Zoran. I
yeah. I like that climax, even though they fucking ruin it with like the blimp.
yeah.
But yeah, I got you. My number five is Dr. Kananga from Live and Let Die. The thing is that Yaphet Kotto, when he plays the character as Mr. Big, he is very sinister and imposing, and like honestly a very good villain. But he gets more Bond villainy as the movie goes. But unfortunately, as opposed to like him becoming more unhinged and sadistic, he just kind of becomes like more dumb and
Yep.
just like falling for every villain trope, and you can't really take him serious after that. And along with like his like demise,
Yeah.
it just ruins a character that could have been really, really good.
I
And it's
agree.
like I don't hate Dr. Kananga. Like I think Yaphet Kotto like knocked it out of the park. It's just bad writing.
I agree.
It's just bad writing.
For very similar reasons, I actually have Kananga at number four. Just doesn't wow me. Yeah, just kind of unfortunate. Not really a very thorough Bond villain.
Yeah. My number four is Brad Whitaker from Living Daylights. I like Joe Don Baker's portrayal of Brad Whitaker. I don't think Brad Whitaker's necessarily a bad villain. However, he's only in 3 scenes. He's in like one scene like to introduce him. He's in a scene where they're talking with Koskov and Necros, who overshadow
Mm-hmm.
Brad Whitaker because he's barely in this movie. And then there's the showdown between him and Bond. To me, it's like this is definitely a dude that could have been like Blofeld and been in multiple movies to really like develop the guy, but he's not developed. I love the concept of him like seeing himself as a grandiose general, even though he's uh, a military camp dropout that's an arms dealer. And I love the battle at the end, and he's well done. He's just not there. And to be
Yep.
honest, like if it was just Koskov the entire time, it still would have been the same movie.
Yep. I'd agree with that. In at number three, I have specifically Spectre's portrayal of Blofeld. Um, I like there to be an intimidating factor to add like complex parts of the to the movie to really set things up for Safin, but just really underwhelming. Especially with all the times we'd seen Blofeld be portrayed before.
Especially Telly Savalas and Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, just Spectre's portrayal of Blofeld was just a big letdown. High enough on this list because of all of the times we've seen Blofeld be good successfully.
Right. That did not make my list. We're at number 3, right?
Yep.
Doctor No.
Okay.
And the reason why is the payoff, because leading up to like seeing Doctor No, he actually has like that all omnipresence, and it's like, oh, holy! It's like, they have like this build up, build up, build up, and then it's like, I'm a dude with metal hands, and it's just like, and there's really nothing. It's honestly like a fill in the blank, just random villain thrown in there, and it's like there's really nothing the Doctor Know, which probably has to do with the fact that they were still figuring out what to do with like these movies, since that is the first one. Uh, but at the same time, like there's just kind of nothing really there besides like metal hands and the fight at the end, which is really good. But other than that, the payoff is just kind of like, really, just a dude with metal hands.
Yeah.
Like he's all sinister throughout the entire movie, and then when you finally get to see Doctor No, and it's just like, well, that's Doctor No.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. At number 2, you might have to fill in the blanks again, but I have Gustav Graves in Die Another Day.
Yeah, he is the guy with the punchable face.
Ah, right.
The main
He just,
villain
yeah,
who
he
was
just looks like he needs
General.
to get hit.
He was like the North Korean dude that turns into a white dude to get revenge on the
Yeah,
West.
the whole race switching was not fantastic, but I don't know. I just felt like it was a whole lot of very complex topics that like really didn't do a whole lot for the movie.
They do throw a lot of shit in there with him.
Very interesting. Anyway, number 2.
General Orlov, Octopussy. So the counter to Kamal Khan.
Sure.
Honestly, the concept of General Orlov is great. Like a war hawk general that wants to start a nuclear war because he thinks the USSR is going to win. Really, really, really good concept. However, Steven Burkhoff's performance is dog shit. It is way overdone and it's unbelievable. It's not even well done, overdone. Like it's literally like a wooden actor. I'm not saying that him as an actor is wooden, but this performance is very wooden, trying to be over the top. And like a lot of the delivery does not make sense whatsoever, and it doesn't kill the movie, but it definitely kills the character.
Absolutely. My top villain, or my top bottom villain, weird. My bottom villain, the worst villain for me is Lashif in Casino Royale. Look, I Casino Royale was a really good movie. Don't get me wrong, and I believe that having an opposition is great, but the entire purpose of Lashif was get money for the bad guys by playing poker. Man, just
Funny that he lost.
right. If your only purpose in this entire movie, as the main conflict, is to win a poker game and you lost, tried to poison the guy and he lives, like just the whole damn thing, man. Just he's so worthless.
And on top of that, how many disabilities this guy has?
Oh yeah, right. The fucking dripping
Asthma.
eyes, the inhaler. He's just the least imposing, the least threatening, and he does fucking nothing. Just
like I give like Mads Mikkelsen for like having a good performance, but like
played well, but just a shitty character, man. There's characters that try to nuke the planet, the biochemical weapons, and he's just like, I'm gonna win this poker game, and he loses it. Like, just worthless. I think I lost Stallman again. Una memento. As I was saying, yeah, just
before Ted's mom destroyed the internet.
Yeah.
Love you, Ted's mom.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, but like I said, Lashif just like the least imposing character, least threatening, and just worthless. Like just the whole plot was play a poker game.
All right. I think you know what my number one is.
I I'm not as positive about this one as I am about your last one.
Oh wow.
As
All right.
sure.
Carl Stromberg, Spy Who Loved Me.
Okay. That makes sense.
He's literally Sebastian the Crab. He wants everybody to live under the sea. The sea is really great, guys. I really love the sea. Everybody should live under the sea. I'm gonna kill everyone who doesn't want to live under the sea. Wah! Like that's literally it. And he's so boring. He has webbed hands. How sinister is that? Like, not at all. He is not. He has. He's not freaking physically imposing. He's crazy, yeah, but like, it's. Here's the thing. When a Bond villain doesn't really have a lot of like personality, like grandiose, over the top personality, usually the villain plot is well thought out, like Dominic Green or Aristotle Christados.
Mhm.
Like you look at the villain plot, it's very well thought out. Or if it's a villain plot that has like 800 holes in it, but the villain is fucking amazing, like Goldfinger.
Sure.
um, there's that. However, Carl Stromberg has the unfortunate thing of being boring, and his villain plot is 100% fucking stupid.
Fair. Fair.
And I just don't like him at all. And it pisses me off even more that if it wasn't for Kevin McClory, that could have just been Blofeld. And it's like, we could have had the actual satisfying ending to like uh Blofeld getting fucking shot by Bond, but no, we get like a really lame piss poor version of that,
Yeah. All right.
which we will get to in villain
I was
deaths.
gonna say that feels like a pretty natural transition, actually. Top five again.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have a very thorough order for these, so I think I'm gonna buck the formula, and I'm just gonna give you all five. You can feel free to
Probably
interject as we
quicker
do
than
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So in no particular order, I have Largo from Thunderball.
That's my number 5.
All right.
I love the fact of the matter is that it's Domino that kills him, not Bond.
Yep.
I I love the fact that, they build up that Bond's gonna kill Largo, and then, Domino has all the motivation to kill Largo. Like
Yep.
he is
Bond fights off
a
4 or 5 dudes on a speeding boat, like dead to rights, like has nothing left to fight back to Largo, and then Domino comes out of nowhere and spear guns him through the chest as his own henchman. Brilliant, brilliant.
yeah.
Um,
And yeah, with her motivations, like he's an abusive spouse to her. Well, she's his mistress, but like, they're in an abusive relationship. He treats her like fucking shit. He kills her brother. Ellen basically does everything to make her fucking life miserable, and she finally. It's honestly kind of like a. This is weird coming from a Sean Connery Bond film, but it's honestly like a symbolism of women empowerment, and I love it.
something similar to that, I guess. We won't go there. I have Gustav Graves from Die Another Day.
That is a stupid death.
Hmm.
My fourth is Kamal Khan, the stereotypical. The airplane's fucked up and crashes.
I thought we were
Like
doing.
really?
I thought we were doing top five deaths. I had Gustav Graves for top five. Largo from Thunder. Yep.
Oh shit! Sorry. No,
Not
no,
spoilers.
no. Sorry, Dominic Green. Just because it's off screen, which is hilarious. But the fact of the matter is, Bond just leaves him in the middle of the desert with a fucking can
Yep.
of oil.
Dominic
Drink
Green
this.
also on my list. Yes, just the whole like I think it really sells out an arc of hey, I'm out for a vendetta, like this, that, and the other, but you can suffer a little more than this. Like just
And the best
so
thing is, you
remarkably well
find out
done.
later that Quantum kills Dominic Green, but not before he drinks the oil.
Yep, brilliant, brilliant. I guess that would put up your third since I duplicated Dominic Green.
Yeah. Alec Trevelyan. Just because the whole fucking battle between sorry, not MI6, sorry, 006 and James Bond, like that whole fight on the satellite antenna is like well done, and I love like the fact and it's also kind of extra at the same time. But
Yeah.
I love like that line where he's just like he actually grabs Trevelyan Trowan's like for England, James. He goes, no, for me, and it's kind of like a symbolism, like him letting go of like the past, which is I think is really cool. But not only do they have it like that, Sean Bean survives that fall, but of course it's Sean Bean in a fucking movie,
Right.
and then the whole antenna just falls on him, and it's like,
Yeah.
I just love that fight for how realistic it is, and then Bond actually has to give a one up. It's like, no, I'm doing this for myself. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And it's like that wasn't good enough, and then like, it's such a great freaking climax in that movie.
Very good. Very good. I had Reynard from The World Is Not Enough.
Renard, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that was a really good. Yeah, I don't have.
She's waiting for you, and then he kind of has that look of like, it's like, good, this is what I want. You know?
Yeah, very very solid.
Yeah,
Your second one?
Such a good actor. Elliot Carver.
Remember Elliot Carver?
The villain of Tomorrow Never Dies, the media guy.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, even though it is kind of a dumb death because he has more than an opportunity to get the fuck out of the way from the fucking siege drill, but his screams blending into the siege drill, just like hitting the fucking console after it hits him, is just so well done. Yeah. And you spend that entire movie just like, this guy's such a fucking asshole. I want him dead. I want him dead now. And when it happens, it's just glorious.
Yeah. And then my last one is Safin, No Time to Die. I thought it was a very good ending. It was very passionate and emotional, and literally just beats the shit out of him. The best part of the whole thing for me, though, he double taps. He makes damn sure.
Definitely a COD guy here. But for me, number one, I cheated. It's Red Grant.
Yeah. Okay.
Because yeah, I know I put him as henchman, but like that death is so freaking good because like Red Grant literally has Bond beat. He has him beat. Bond's like essentially begging for his life, and literally has to outwit him. He's like negotiating different things. It's like, well, MI6 can pay, can like recruit you and pay you on that. He's like, it's like, I have no interest in like being an MI6 or anything like that. He goes, well, I actually have money on me right now. And then, gives him like, the gold sovereigns. And the best thing about that is that he hands him like the briefcase. He goes, open the briefcase. He opens it. And then he goes, is there one in the other one? It's like, well, yeah, it's a standard kit. And then he goes, since he knows that Bond is unarmed, he thinks, okay, there's probably a gun in the other one. So he goes, I'll open this. And Bond tricks him into like putting the gas. And then there's that brutal freaking fist fight where and then Bond actually uses Red Grant's like watch garage that he has against him and just strangles like Red Grant to death. And it's such a brutal like fight on that damn train. And like the fact that Bond actually has to outsmart the villain. It's not like the villain's just fucking stupid and gloating. Although, yes, Red Grant is gloating, but he's got Bond beat. He has a gun in his hand, and when he's like, not gloating a whole lot, but like basically just outlining like, hey, this is what's been going on in the scene. Now it's time for you to, die. And Bond's like, wait.
Yeah.
So like, it's not like my number 5, Hugo Drax, who has the freaking laser pointing at Bond, and then just goes, it's time for me to put you out of my misery, and then waits 10 seconds, and then gets shot with the cyanide dart, and then gets shoved out into space, which is fine. Honestly, that's not what I'm complaining, besides the fact that he takes a fuck of a long time and should have just shot Bond right then and there after the line. It's the fact that we get 3 puns, one after another. Heartbroken, Mr. Drax. Take a step for mankind. Where's Drax? He had to fly, which I still say should have said, oh, he needed some space. I still say, like, come on. This movie sucks already. At least have that freaking pun for us. But no, he had to fly.
As we get As
It
we get
just
in the
gets
bottom five.
stupider as it goes.
Yeah, as we get in the bottom five, Hugo Drax is actually in that same spot for me too. Um, my number 4 is Orlov, from Octopussy. I just
That should have been so fucking good if it wasn't for his fucking like, ugh.
yeah.
His acting in that's so terrible and ruins that. Is that the reason why?
It's yeah, it doesn't help. I don't know. It was such a good film, and then the death just felt so underwhelming. It had all the characteristics of being good, and then it just wasn't. It just fell super flat for me.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I already said Kamal Khan because
Yeah,
I screwed that bitch. Yeah, Kamal Khan. Oh, the airplane's fucked. I'm gonna crash it into a mountain
yeah,
because Hollywood hasn't done that 800 times.
yeah. Tropes, am I right? Um, so number 3, this one is tough for me because the all three of my last 3 are like really, really bad. Like,
Same.
again, didn't need to look at any
I,
research to know
I
that they were
also
my top.
cheated on my number 2 on this.
All right. Well, I think for the same places we're going to cheat are the same places we're going to cheat then.
Right.
I'll just say that my number 3 is Mr. White. I know I called him a henchman earlier, but I'm going to
Yeah.
call him a villain death for the purpose of this list. Again, we talked about this a whole lot during that movie podcast, so I encourage you to go back and look at it. But like contextually, it makes no sense.
Right.
Him dying is fine and dandy and all, but like it's a really shitty way to go. And also, there's no reason for him to give the information that Bond is looking for. So essentially, there's no reason to reintroduce that character. He could just have fallen off and nobody would care about him anymore, and like that would have been it. But instead, they bring him back to give him a death that doesn't make sense. Just so shitty.
All right. My number 3. I'm gonna have you see if you can guess this. All right.
All right.
All right. So Bond and the villain get into a knife fight. They fall in the water.
Yeah.
There's a shark. The shark could have totally killed this guy.
Yep.
That would have actually been satisfying. However, what we get is a compressed air capsule thrown into his stomach, and he becomes a blow-up
God.
doll and blows up. Dr.
Yep.
Kananga.
Yeah, Live and Let Die was also towards the top of my list. I think I was going to make it number 1, but
That's also why Dr. Kananga is on my top 5, because that villain death is so bad. It is so freaking bad.
Well,
and it's not even shot well. It's like
they give him a fucking balloon and then a massive fucking explosion to come out. No, it's so terrible. I hated that so much. And then I'm fairly sure as we were watching that movie, Stallman made us watch it twice to verify that it was in fact a blow-up doll that they had overinflated and sent to the ceiling to then create a building-wide explosion. Just
and
awful.
this film and the film stock was like poor from like the rest of the film.
Yep.
It was like it went from like 4K to like 140p.
So terrible. So terrible. My guess is that the last one I have off my list is going to be your number 1.
Oh, there's 2 of them. I'm at number 2 now.
Okay, I thought you said number 2 was one you were cheating on. If it wasn't Mr. White overlap.
Yeah, number 2 I'm cheating on. It's not Mr. White.
Okay.
No, it's Ernst-Stavro Blofeld, For Your Eyes Only.
Oh,
not the main villain in that, but oh my god, you're really gonna like.
That was my last one too. Yep. I knew that was gonna be on your list. I thought it was just the last one. It's so terrible because they have like Blofeld that they barely identify as Blofeld at all. They're just like, hey,
it's not Blofeld, but it's Blofeld.
Yeah, it's man, we can't use this character, so let's just show those other guys kick him. Like it's just so fucking bad. It's such a throwaway. It's such a throwaway. It's such a throwaway. Literally just to say we're better than that other franchise. We're gonna kill the villain. That's not the same villain, but it's definitely the same villain. No, it's so goddamn dumb.
All right, that's your number 1.
That was like between
Did
Mr.
You miss one?
Nope. I said Hugo Drax from Moonraker at 5. Okay. Orlov at number 4, and then my top 3. I'm not sure what order was Kananga from Live and Let Die, Mr. White, and Blofeld.
Okay. Yeah, my number 1's Carl Stromberg.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I don't mind that Bond just shoots him. Like, Bond just shoots, like, a couple, like, I mean, he just shoots Safin. Yep. But, like, I mean, they do get a fight beforehand, but, like, that's not the thing that's the issue. Alright. Like, literally, Stromberg tries killing him with, like, the trapdoor into the shark tank. That doesn't work. And then, what's really cool, like, because they lead up to something that's actually kind of cool. That that is Stromberg. He has the spear gun with the freaking grenade or whatever the fuck it is on the end of it. Shoots
Ridiculous.
it. Bond like jumps out of the way, makes an explosion. Bond shoots Carl Stromberg, which would have been fine. However, he doesn't shoot him in a normal sense. He because like there's like a tube that where the grenade spear goes through. He actually takes the time to go and shoots Stromberg in the tube, and Stromberg gets shot once, stays there. Bond keeps on shooting him. He could have ran. He could have ran when he saw that that didn't work. Granted, there might not have been some place to run to, but he could have at least like tried. Instead, he just got shot 3 times and went. Ugh!
Listen, there's a reason you double tap, okay? I just give credit to Bond there for firing again. I'm just double tap.
Oh,
it's
I know
important.
that. I'm just saying, like, he's a shitty villain to begin with,
Yeah.
and then he has like a really dumb death, like, especially through the tube thing. The tube thing just makes zero sense. Like, we see. I mean, granted, like Bond's marksmanship is like hit or miss.
Some movies he's a god, and some movies he's a stormtrooper. Yeah.
But like, did he? For fuck's sakes, like, come on.
All right, you want to do theme songs or Bond women?
I think we could probably do. Well, on my list, right, I have Bond women first. So,
all right, Bond women it is.
Yeah.
All right. These were tough for me because I feel like
there's a lot of bad ones and there's a lot of good ones.
Well, and it's just like it was a very difficult threshold for me to assign value, right? That like there were certain characters that like played their role, but I didn't like enjoy them for the context of the movie. There were ones that were like objectively bad but played an important part. This was so hard to rank. At number 5, I'm gonna start with Wei Lin.
Hey!
This it took me like the research that I had to do to put this list together. Wei Lin just kind of fell in at number 5, but I did genuinely love her character. Just
She's
really well done.
Badass.
Absolutely.
There's so many times, so many characters in like these movies. There's just like, they definitely deserved like their own spinoff. Like, Halle Berry did all right. She got a spinoff. Wei Lin was supposed to have a spinoff. It's like
Halle
the
Berry,
chemistry between her and Bond, like Wei Lin and Bond, was amazing. How they would one up each other.
Yeah, it was really well done.
It was so enjoyable. Yeah. All right, you're 4.
Oh, that was your number 5 too. Okay.
Yeah.
The next I have Solitaire.
Not bad. Not bad.
I appreciated the way this character fit into the movie. It was different than just being someone to sleep with, right? Like it was Solitaire just felt like it fit naturally into the whole here. She was a good character. She created deception and like you could see her internal struggle affect the plot of the movie. I enjoyed Solitaire.
Yeah, Jane Seymour's such a good actress too.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that role. I haven't seen like the TV series that she's actually like most well known for, but like that role as Solitaire, definitely great. My number 4 is Camille Montez, which is the main Bond. I almost said villain. Main Bond woman in Quantum of Solace. Just because like her again. What is it with me and vengeance?
Yeah.
But like her whole backstory and everything, and like you really feel for her character and like her entire arc when she actually gets revenge and when like the entire like place is burning, you feel for her where she's like not like this. Like it's still, there's a lot of emotion that goes into her character, and like just like the interaction between her and Bond, the fact that Bond doesn't sleep with her because it doesn't make sense if that happens, and it's just that relationship's everything that Bond and the Bond woman and For Your Eyes Only should have been. And it was just well done, the chemistry between Bond and Camille, because they both have like different motives for like the same, for like the same type of foil the plot. And then it's interesting seeing how like there's points where they're like competing against each other, even though they're going for like the same goal.
Yeah, I agree. I actually had her in at number 3 as well. Just
Yeah,
really,
I had her at 4, so you have her at 3.
yep, yeah. So moving on up the list, but again, not to echo Stallman, but just like really important points. Like really valuable character, just fit in with everything super well, and also that it wasn't the same trope that we always see every Bond woman fall into.
All right. My number 3 is Madeline Swan.
You're stealing from me, Stallman. That's my number 2.
Yeah. I think you probably might know who my top 2 are, but
I have a guess at least one of 2. Yeah.
yeah. Just well, I'm gonna say when if this was just Spectre, I would have been just like, yeah, she's all right. But like the chemistry, like from No Time to Die, like from Spectre leading into No Time to
Yep.
Die, just amazing. Like how she's just, oh my god,
It's
so well done. She's just like, yeah, like my father kills people, you kill people, fuck you. And then she ends up falling for like Bond, and
yeah.
then she was just basically like at the end of Spectre's just like, you kill people, like this isn't happening. And then he gives up like his whole entire thing for her, like at the end. And then you have like everything that happens in No Time to Die, like
Hmm.
everything in No Time to Die. The fact she also and everything that I have in here, well, except for probably my number 2, although I think my number 2 is borderline, but all the Bond women I have in this list can handle themselves. And like Madeline Swan being, the daughter of Mr. White knows how
Yeah.
to fucking carry herself, and I
Yeah.
think that's the main thing that I really like.
Well, and it's the arc, right? Like a lot of the reasons
Yeah,
I liked the Daniel Craig movies so much is that everything had its purpose, everything was done intentionally. Like Madeline Swan developing from, hey, you're just like my dad, go fuck yourself, to like, hey, this is your kid. You know,
yeah,
like the arc still really sells her value. And the other part of it too is that like unlike most Bond women, the plots for the last 2 movies don't work if she's not a part of it. Right, like
right.
she's so valuable to the story progressing in not 1 but 2 films. No, absolutely, she's got to be
And,
on the list.
yeah, that's the way with my other 2, my top 2. Madeline Swan's your number 2,
Yep.
right? My number 2 is Vesper Lynn. Uh,
Okay.
just because of the whole arc, from Vesper post. Also, uh, on top of that, she's also well done. Like her and Bond actually develop a relationship gradually, as opposed to like a lot of cases it's like, hey, this like action scene happens, or like it's like, oh, they just like see each other and they just fuck right away. Obviously with this, like Bond like has a huge connection and falls for her, and with her being a double agent, like you can really see like she feels really awful that she's gotten Bond to fall in love with her, and it's just because she's playing both sides and that's what she's assigned to do. And she actually really like more or less actually goes to actually care for Bond, and ends up killing herself to protect him. And it fucks Bond up completely. And without Vesper there, you don't really get the Daniel Craig arc with
Yeah.
the series.
Yep.
So it's such an important character. And also Ava Green plays that
Hmm.
off way well.
Yeah. Yeah. I get your point there. I I disagree, but we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah. Is it gonna be? Is it gonna be in the?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I do.
Alright.
I will explain that when we get there, though.
If it's anything, it's probably gonna be like your gripes in your for Casino Royale. So
Not. I think you'll be surprised.
okay.
Anyway, number 1 Bond woman for me is I think it just has to be Tracy, right?
Yep.
Like, I look,
Oh,
you
so well done. Diana Rigg's so great.
I was gonna say, not only is the character played super well and super valued to the franchise, but I think that like the closest thing you get to an arc in those early movies is Tracy. As
Yeah.
Stallman mentioned a bit earlier, like the way that the movies play out following Tracy just doesn't exist if not for Tracy. It's so important and so valuable to the
Start
series.
her up because I like literally like her death. And, oh, spoiler! Her death and Honor Majesty's Secret Service. Oh my god, they the it's so freaking sad. It also doesn't help with like George Lazenby. It's like we had all. It's like she's just resting. We have all the time in the world, which they fucking
Yeah,
again with like No Time to Die. Now Bond say like, hey, we have all the time in the world, but it's his death instead of Adam Swan's. But
yeah.
oh my god, such a gut puncher.
It really is. It really is. All right. In the bottom five, I'll just spoil this. Vesper's at number 2 for me. So I don't know if you want to go in order. If you want me to just get to that one because we've talked about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So Vesper's at number 2 for me. And look, character was played super well, fit the part. I like the reason is just you have to hate her, right? Is like because the character's so well done, because it was like written into such a niche place, like you just kind of have to despise Vesper. I recognize that the Daniel Craig arc doesn't happen without her. I recognize that
Yeah.
it's a good character and she's doing exactly what she's supposed to do.
And she's also being manipulated into it because like her boyfriend that she's trying to save
Mhm.
by doing this is a member of fucking Spectre. So
Right. You're just forced to hate her. And while that speaks to the quality of the character, I can't leave her off the bottom 5.
yeah, you can't root for her. That's the
Right.
thing.
That's just it,
Uh,
man. That's just it.
my number 5.
Mhm.
Oh, you want to go with your number 5?
I was gonna say I have one off my list. You might as well start. Hit me with number 5.
All right. Strawberry Fields from Quantum of Solace.
Okay.
Honestly, like the reason why she's not higher up is because like her death does show that there's consequences to what Bond is doing. So therefore, there's just like a agent that's supposed to bring Bond home, and then she gets wrapped up into everything and dies. But the thing is, there's no like backstory really with her. She's
Yeah.
just kind of there to sleep with Bond, die, and become a send off to like like a Goldfinger reference. Instead of being painted in gold, she's covered in oil,
Right.
and there's just so much more that could have been done.
Yeah. I think she fell very shortly off my list. Like, was if there was one more spot, I think she was on it. But yeah, there just not a whole lot of substance to the character.
Yeah.
Number 5 for me, I had BB Doll. A lot of it is just
Oh
like
wait,
really shitty name puns. Let me look at one movie because I didn't actually bet this time.
is that in Goldfinger? She the one gets painted?
No, she's in For Your Eyes Only. She's the 16-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. No, yeah, well, so not only is she just like really dumb and valueless, but also like they just basically added it
Dylan's
to
also macking on her, which is creepy.
right. It's just like the whole purpose of her being there is just to make you
Bond uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. Like a 55-year-old man and a 16-year-old girl, like just plus the shitty name pun. Just get out of here with the whole damn thing.
All right. My number 4, Stacy Sutton.
Okay.
From View to a Kill. I like Midge. Midge is great. Like
But Midge is dumb.
yeah,
But
Midge is dumb.
Midge is
The
dumb.
actress is good at playing dumb. The actress isn't necessarily great or be able to buy into the fact that she's a geologist, although like she doesn't play it terribly, but she says all these smart things like the dumbest way possible, it
Yeah.
seems. And she just screams constantly like, James! 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 Gets super freaking annoying. And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, I actually had her at number 4 as well. Just oh god, can't get past that.
It's
It's
so
Midge.
she just becomes annoying. And that's just the issue with it. And like, nothing against the actress. It's just
You can't get it. Just feels dumb when it's supposed to be smart, and then it's obnoxious. Yep, 100% agree. What you got at 3?
Mary Goodnight from
Okay.
The Man with the Golden Gun. It's not how she is well played, but she is supposed to be like this MI6 agent and is played to be like a dumb blonde. I mean, for fuck's sakes, like everything she kind of does is almost like a detriment to Bond. Like she's like, "Hey, take the Solex." It's like, "Oh, What's she doing? Oh, she's gonna like investigate when gets locked in the trunk by Christopher Lee. It's like, okay, where's the Solex? He goes, oh, it's with me. And he has to rescue her. And then also while they're getting the Solex, her butt hits the laser thing and almost kills Bond.
Yeah.
It's like, did it really have to be her butt? And then there's numerous cases where she's like comes off as like a jealous, like she's not with him, but comes off as like a jealous girlfriend or a jealous ex throughout the entire freaking movie.
Mhm.
Granted, Bond is leading her on, but like there's also parts where she goes, nope, you're not leading me on. There's no way. And then she falls for it, and it's like, you're an MI6 agent.
Yeah.
Why are you a dumb blonde? Why are you a dumb blonde? Like, oh my god, they're so mean to her.
Number 3 for me, I had Jinx. I
I agree. They kind of did Halle Berry like
It's
dirty
so
on this.
corny and stupid, and just what a
She came right off from a Best Actress. She won Best Actress for Monsters Ball the year or so before this movie. Like that was the movie
just
before this one.
it was so dumb. She literally pulls fruit and a knife out of her ass crack for no particular reason. Like just a poorly written character just there to just seem insane. Just so bad.
Oh,
I really don't have any positives. There's no redeeming quality. Like Jinx sucked as a character.
it is a fucking shit. Like seriously, Best Actress, best Academy Award winning Best Actress, and you do that with her.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Such a waste. I don't have Jinx on there. My number 2, Dr. Christmas Jones. The World Is Not Enough. Denise Richards.
I had Denise Richards as my number 1, as a matter of fact, and mostly just because it's Denise Richards.
All right. I actually have reasons, not just because it's Denise Richards, all right? Here's the thing. She's supposed to be a nuclear physicist. However, she's supposed to have like the smart, like, like empowering role, which doesn't show up. And like, she doesn't really get to use her thing. It's like her knowledge is just to go like, yeah, this is why we're not dying from the radiation. And when she does be able to use her skills, they're like, oh no, we're gonna let the thing blow up anyway because we're gonna pretend like they're gonna think that we died. And then the rest of it, she's just Captain fucking Obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like her entire line of dialogue is Captain Obvious, and it's like more obnoxious than Stacey Sutton. Like, oh my god, it gets even more obnoxious, and it doesn't help that Denise Richards doesn't have the best delivery. Granted, she's not given a whole hell of a lot.
But it's still Denise Richards.
I will say I do think that we kind of were a little bit too mean to Denise Richards on The World Is Not Enough.
Nope, I refuse to back down. Denise Richards is a terrible actress. I am unwavering.
But
all right,
it's just a bad performance with like a bad script, bad really written character. It's just bad all around. Your number 2?
I was gonna say my number 2 was Vesper. Yep.
Your number 1, yeah, your number 1 was Denise Richards.
Yep.
My number 1 is Tiffany Case from Diamonds Are Forever. She's literally an American like stereotype, and on top of that, everything she does, she fucks up. Like everything she does, she's entirely inept. Ellen like literally like is a pain in Bond's ass. She gets captured numerous freaking times. She switches the goddamn tape. Like granted, Bond could have like hinted a little bit better that, that he switched the tapes and she's supposed to dispose of that. She took it as like, oh, I switched the tapes. And he's like, it's like, you put the real tape back in. She's literally there for like an eyepiece. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's nothing to her besides being an eyepiece and being a detriment. And she's just kind of like a snotty brat and, like I said, American stereotype. She's what British people think Americans are.
Yep.
At that time period.
Yep.
And that might be true, but doesn't mean we were offended. Canceled. No. But there's just nothing with her.
Fair.
And to me, it's like there could have been something with her, but they just do nothing. And to me, like a really badly written character like that, and just being in a movie that is just dull to begin with, is just It's just stomach churning.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So I guess the last thing we have is themes, right?
Yep. And
Okay.
then we rank the bonds.
All right. I tried very, very hard to keep the music about just the music and not the visuals because I think that would have sullied my list. So,
That's why I have. All right. Well, hold on. You can go.
okay. So at number 5, I'm going to do "Live and Let Die." I know
That's a good song. It's not on my list, but that's such a good
I was gonna
song.
say, I know when we were watching it that Stallman was not super thrilled because he hates the Guns N' Roses version and he hates that it's gotten a million times on radio play. But I like part
It's
of that's
just
it for me.
overplayed. It's just overplayed.
But like for me, it's there. I think because it's recognizable, it's relatively simple, it fits the Bond movie, like, and it is. Yeah, it's just really recognizable and familiar and comfortable, I guess.
They even used it for The Man with the Golden Gun when Sheriff J.W. Pepper looks at Bond. He's like, no. Then they had the Live and Let Die theme
Yeah.
in there. So, like, uh, yeah. My number 5 is "You Know My Name" by Chris Cornell.
Yep.
The theme for Casino Royale. It's number 5 because I don't know if it's because I like the song really well, or if it's the fact that it just blends in well with the best like gun barrel scene ever. It's like you have the gun barrel, it's like ba 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 ba, and then the visuals and everything. I'm like, it just fits.
Yeah, no, I had that at
It
number
just
4, but it started to deteriorate here mostly because I just love Chris Cornell. It was a very, very, very good theme.
to me, I'm just like, I don't know if I like it because it's a really good song, or if it's just like seeing the fucking gun barrel and the bump 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 bump, because that gun barrel like really works because of the intro of that song, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah, very good.
So,
So that was mine at number 4. What do you got?
"Diamonds Are Forever" by Shirley Bassey. What?
I said you motherfucker.
What did we match?
I had that at
Oh,
number 2. Yeah.
That's that movie should not have his theme song. As that's freaking good. It is amazing.
It's such a
Like, oh
powerful
my
ballad.
god,
It's so good. It
it's
hits all the right notes. It's super fitting. Love it. Love
and
it.
I love how the song is literally "Men Ain't Shit, Get Diamonds."
Yeah. All right.
The first of the "Men Ain't Shit" songs.
Yeah. All right.
Uh,
So okay. So that.
I recommend it, guys. Like, "Diamonds Are Forever."
Yeah.
It's
No.
a really good song. Don't recommend the movie, but the theme song is the highlight of the movie besides Blofeld's cat.
Yeah. All right. So that was your number 3. My number 3 then was
That's my number 4.
or that was your number 4. So my number 3 then is Jack White and Alicia Keys for Quantum of Solace.
That's a good one.
It is. It's a classic Jack White piece. It still
Another Day to
fits to the
Die, yeah.
movies. It's super good. Super good.
And it was also when they were at their freaking peak, both of them.
Yep.
Like,
I'll rave.
Yeah, yeah.
Jack White is such an artist, but like this is the perfect blend of having a Jack White piece, but also mainstream enough to fit a Bond movie. Like it's really good. Alicia Keys' voice
Alicia
is
Keys
fantastic.
is good freaking belter too.
Mhm.
Like, top, like, peak Alicia Keys and peak Jack White. Like, oh my god.
Yep. Yep. Very good.
My number 3 is "On Her Majesty's Secret Service" by the John Barry Orchestra.
Okay.
The main like, it's amazing fucking like, honestly, it's so good, even though it's just an instrumental. It could have been like James Bond's theme, and it's so recognizable throughout the movie that it just adds to the action as it goes on. Because a lot of these James Bond themes, like, you hear them throughout, like, as like a like an orchestral version of that. But with this, it kind of like follows the action that's going on, and like also the freaking like Hammond organ on that going
Mhm.
bow 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 bow, and then the guitar goes and bum 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 bum. It just kind of like amps you up, you know.
I just want somebody to mix the song of Stallman's like parts harmonizing with themselves because that sounds hilarious.
And then seeing that and then hearing that in the freaking ski chase, it just like
It is very, very
It's-
good.
oh.
All right. So at number 2, I had Diamonds Are Forever, which we already talked about. So what's your second one?
All right. The only reason why OHMSS is not my number one is because the other two songs I've just had stuck in my goddamn head. As a matter of fact, four and up are songs that I got stuck in my head more often than not. Like a couple what's on my short list is The Man with the Golden Gun, just
Okay.
because I find it catchy as fuck, but like it just missed it. And then also oddly enough, Tomorrow Never Dies also missed it too. But number two, A View to a Kill by Duran Duran.
Okay. That one doesn't surprise me at all. As we were
I,
going to
I,
watch that
I,
movie,
I fucking love Duran Duran.
yeah, I was gonna say, as we were going to watch that movie, they're like, "Well, Duran Duran's good." Like there was nothing else they talked about that movie except Duran Duran.
I'm like, yeah, Duran Duran like has like really good, and it's just it fits.
Yeah,
Like
it's a good song.
like it's a Corey '80s song, but it fits the movie and the visuals and everything. Like it fits with that. Like it's a good freaking follow up to like the action scene that happened.
Yeah,
And
it's a good song. Stayed off my list, but it is a good song. Number one for me is Doctor No.
I'll give you that. I
It's
give you that because it's the James Bond theme.
yeah, it's just such a classic. It would be very hard for me to watch any of these movies without the Doctor No like James Bond theme. It's just it's got to be there. It's such a classic. It's recognizable, and it was done in the '60s. But like every kid now, without seeing a Bond movie,
Oh
knows the
yeah,
Bond theme. It just
and
you
on
have
top
to.
and on top of that, like if it's used very well, like at the end of
Mhm.
Casino Royale, where it's like they don't play the James Bond theme until the end, where he's just like the name's Bond, James Bond, and then ba ba ba. You're like,
Yeah, I still just want a rendition of Stalin's fucking. Oh man. Uh,
God.
all right.
My number one is "Living Daylights" by Aha.
Okay.
That song's been stuck in my head for like ever since like we watched that movie, and like to me that kind of fits with like Timothy Dalton's Bond. To me, I think "Living Daylights" Aha, and I I mean I guess like I'm a sucker for new wave. and,
Yeah.
and it's like I like Duran Duran more than Aha, but I just think this song's better. And like, at like, even when I'm like going to the fucking bar, I go to the jukebox, I play Aha's Living Daylight. It's like, hey, the living daylights.
Oh man.
Oh,
All right.
it's so good.
Into bottom five. I'm not gonna make many friends here, so sorry
All
about it.
right.
At number five for me is Billie Eilish with "No Time to Die." Now, listen. Billie Eilish is fantastic. She's a great
Oh
vocalist.
yeah.
Like I think the song was good, but I think for what you like it being at the beginning of the movie, it was very very somber for a movie that had a lot developed in it. If they
Yeah,
had waited for that title sequence until after the movie, like if it was closing and that was the first time you were introduced to it, this would probably be on my top list.
yeah, it could have been like they could have done it like how with From Russia with Love, like they did like a upbeat like music instrumental rendition, and then they
Mhm.
had the actual like slow ballad at the end.
Yes. Yes. It just
That,
it didn't fit with the timing of where it came in the movie. The other part that bothered me is that her voice was horribly edited. You could hear it through the whole song. Everything was super digital. Like again, Billie Eilish has a phenomenal voice. She's a very talented singer, but they very clearly edited her voice to hit the notes that they wanted to be hit for the movie, and you could hear where it got edited. It was just really poor timing and placement and poor editing of what could have been fantastic.
I mean, I understand why they didn't have it at the end because like they're doing a shout out to On Her Majesty's Secret Service by having All the Time in the World by Louis Armstrong at the
Right,
end of it,
right.
which is a great send off. But like, yeah, I get what you're saying on that. Like, I'm indifferent to it, you know? It's not one of my favorites. It's not one of my ones that I detest or anything like that. To me, it's just like, it's Billie Eilish,
Yeah.
you know?
Again, she's really good. I don't mean to take anything away from her, but the way that they did it was
Yeah,
so bad.
and I mean, you know me, I'm not a fan of the Bond ballads, which you're gonna fucking see.
Oh, I know. I know. There.
All right, number five, Moonraker by Shirley Bassey. She's just so good in Goldfinger, so good in Diamonds Are Forever. The song just sucks. Like, she's not bad at all. The song just sucks. and like it's not a good follow up of like the awesome fucking stunt that you see at the pre-title sequence, which is the only good part of Moonraker. To quote Mike Riot, "Yep, that's it. That's the last part of the good. That's the last good part about this movie. It gets worse from here." And it does, because like it sets up with a lame song, and then the movie just goes.
It really does. It really does.
Uh,
All right.
all right.
So I don't know where to
That's all
put
I got.
these.
Lame song. Like
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I
I,
can't explain why I don't like it. I just don't like it.
I'm actually going to buck the trend here, Stallman, because I think a handful of these might overlap since you don't necessarily like the ballads. I'm just going to give you the last four in no particular order and then let you talk about them, go through your list. We're going to do that.
All right.
So the
All
other
right,
four, the other four that I have are Die Another Day.
that's my fourth.
Okay, perfect. I have License to Kill.
Oh, now I know why you said I was gonna hate you.
I was gonna say I knew you wouldn't be a fan of that one necessarily, but I don't know. I think the song is like too corny and too crafted for just not my thing.
It is very 80s.
Well, and they tried very hard. Like they didn't make a song that could be used for Bond. They created a song for Bond, and it shows.
I think that I mean the lyrics are kind of corny, but I think it's the instrumentals for me with the ba ba, a callback to fucking the Goldfinger thing.
The instrumentals were fine and all, and I get its place, but it just didn't do it for me. I had Tomorrow Never Dies. Yeah.
I know you're not a Gwen Stefani fan, even though it's Sheryl Crow, not Gwen Stefani. But since it sounds like Gwen Stefani, you're not gonna.
Yeah.
And also, Sheryl Crow does crack her voice a little bit, but
it's so poorly performed.
To me, I think it works a little bit just because, like, she does have a raspy voice. If it was any other vocalist, I don't think anybody could have got away with that.
Yeah,
but like,
she doesn't hit the high notes. Like it sounds like she's missing the notes to her own song, and then she sounds like Gwen Stefani.
It does start off great. I love the opening line, like, "Darling, I'm killed. I'm in a puddle on the floor." I'm like, oh, and then the high note happens, and I'm just like,
yeah.
If it wasn't Sheryl Crow, I would have shit all over it. But
yeah.
I get what you mean on that.
And then the last one I had on my list was For Your Eyes Only, another like slow ballad, and man, yeah. Look,
we'll get to that. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I figured give you my list and just some basics, but you're gonna go in more in depth than I am.
Number 4, Die Another Day by Madonna. All right, we got Madonna past her peak. I don't hate Madonna, but like this song doesn't speak Bond whatsoever. It actually speaks like dollar store Britney Spears. To be honest, that's what I get from it.
Yeah, fair.
And Madonna's voice is just terrible, and it's like it's like, oh my, I know she has like a high-pitched kind of whiny-ish voice, but like it's so goddamn whiny in this, and like it's everything bad about 2000s pop music wrapped into one.
Yep.
Number 3, Nobody Does It Better, Carly Simon, which is from The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah.
After an awesome fucking stunt, you have Nobody Does It Better. Yeah. Sucks the energy dry from this awesome fucking free title sequence. And oh my god. And then you hear like a freaking like carnival version or whatever, like Nobody Does It Better at the end, and it's like, just kill me now. Just kill me now. I literally, I'm like, I'm shutting this off. Screw the credits. I'm shutting this off. Like, that's how bad. Number 2, All Time High by Rita Coolidge, which is this theme on Octopussy. It sounds like an 80s sitcom theme.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And again, sucks everything out of the cool. Granted, like, the pre-title sequence is kind of goofy. Mm-hmm. In Octopussy, but like it's well done. Again, sucks everything dry.
Yep.
All right, number 1, For Your Eyes Only. The pre-title sequence of For Your Eyes Only is stupid to begin with, so it doesn't kill it. However, it makes it worse because Sheena Easton can't fucking sing in this. I don't know if she could sing in other things, but this is the only song I know from Sheena Easton, and she's flat throughout the entire thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you hear this song throughout the entire thing, like boom, 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 beep, 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 beep. And it's like, don't fucking remind me that the song exists. Don't remind me the song exists. Stop playing it. All right, I know it's just an instrumental, but I hear her voice. It haunts me in my sleep. And again, this is also the one where you hear the song at the end, and I'm like, nope, 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 exit out.
Yeah.
Not even paying attention to the credits. Nope.
All right.
It's one of the most piece of dog shit songs I've ever listened to.
All right. Yeah. There were a lot of bad ones that just didn't fit. All right. Last thing we've got. I know this one's going super long. We're already.
Oh my god! I didn't realize it was. It's like I put so much in here because I thought it was gonna be super short.
Yeah. Well, looking into it, I thought it was gonna be short too. Like I thought it was just gonna be listing, but you were pushing 2 hours. All right. So last thing we've got.
We're like no time. We're like the Daniel Craig era. She do.
All right, last thing we've got then is just to rank bonds. I think this will be easier if we, go individually rather than taking turns, because obviously there's going to be overlaps.
Yeah. By the way, we are not including Barry Nelson or David Niven in this because, well,
they weren't necessarily of the franchise.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they never actually got to play James Bond as should have been properly James Bond. No faults of their own. It's just.
Right, being in an anthology TV series is not the same format as a full production movie, and then the spoof
thrown into a shitty fucking where everybody's James Bond.
Right, yeah, they can't. Yeah, no, we're good. All right, I'm just gonna run 6-1 and just do like a sentence or two on each because I think after watching most of these podcasts, you probably have a pretty good idea from me.
Yeah.
The bottom for me is George Lazenby, and I don't think that's to any fault of his own. I think that's mostly just he only got one film and never got his chance to arc. Connery is 5th for me, which I understand is, shooting the sacred cow, not just disrespecting it. But there's just so many terrible undertones. And after watching all of the rest of the movies, I can pretty confidently say that I don't think he added anything special to Bond. I recognize that he's the original, he's the classic, and all the others are built around what he created, but it's hard for me to give Connery a whole lot of credit there when he didn't feel that special. Next, I had Pierce Brosnan. I think Brosnan was a victim of movies being goofy at that point in time, but he never really jumped off the screen to me. Never really wowed me. Even though he was better and he added his own flair that we hadn't seen before. I don't know. Just it didn't feel miraculous to me. Although I don't mean to hold that against him as a deficit. At third, I have Roger Moore. Roger Moore feels like the classic Bond to me, right? Not that I had grown up with Roger Moore, or anything along those lines that I know we've brought up in previous podcasts, but
he's been. If you don't count Never Say Never Again, he's the longest tenured Bond.
Yeah, I just it feels like when the movies started to become good watchable films. All right, that sounds weird to me because I know some of my favorites are Connery that have lasted, but it felt like those were the movies where Roger Moore felt like where Bond was the important part and not the movie.
Right.
So I'm going to give that to Roger Moore. Timothy Dalton's up there because I feel like it was a very, very different character. It definitely stood out, even to replace, if you were to just, pixelate out what his face looked like so that you couldn't identify him, they could, hey, this unreleased Bond movie, but they pixelated Bond out. We don't know who it is. You'd still know it was Timothy Dalton, specifically because of the very different way that he played them. Obviously, the top for me is Daniel Craig. The movies were fantastic. The arc was great. The acting was better. The action was better. Daniel Craig hit all the right notes. Perfected the model.
All right. Here I go. See if I can counter a few of these things. Number 6, George Lazenby. Again, no detriment to his own. Literally, guys, people need to, people that are under the assumption that he's the bad Bond. He did the role right. It's just, he was only in one movie, so he couldn't really, expand.
Yep.
Because oddly enough, if he was actually in Diamonds Are Forever, I have a feeling that Connery would be my number 6. He's my number 5.
Okay.
Uh, which is weird because he used to be like in the upper echelons for me. Um, but like he has a lot of swagger. Like that's literally kind of what he has going for him. But he's also kind of a dick, and it seems like Connery's sexism comes out through James Bond. So I don't know if it's like, is it just because James Bond's written that's sexist, or is Sean Connery just like playing himself? Which probably doesn't help the fact that everybody knows Sean Connery as James Bond. So,
Yeah.
but it's that, and also like the main reason why Connery is down is that after Thunderball, he just like phoned it in and just stopped giving a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of like the detriment to it. And nothing else. I think Connery does a well job as James Bond. I think he does add a little bit of toughness and swagger to the role since he was the blueprint. But I think like people like that came after him, you know, added more to everything.
Absolutely.
So that's why I have him at 5, just because George Lazenby was in one movie. Because even Lazenby added more things to it with like more emotion, which I don't think that they could have. I don't think they could have done on. I don't think On Her Majesty's Secret Service would have been as good if Connery was in that role.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, unlike the next person, Roger Moore, um, love Roger Moore. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you said it right there. Like, I mean, to me, like, I think the classic Bond is like Sean Connery just because of his voice. I think his voice is distinctive. But like Bond mannerisms, it's Roger Moore. Like, because he's serious when he has to be, and he's funny and lighthearted. You know, when it calls for it, he's just great. You know, and the fact of the matter is, like, even playing Bond in his 50s, with the exception of View to a Kill, like, still being believable and still giving it 110%, even at 58 for a View to a Kill. And no matter how dumb the Bond movie is, he's always good. Like, that's like the thing I can actually say is like he's always good.
Yeah.
Uh, Number 3, Pierce Brosnan.
Okay.
He is number 3 solely because he is the James Bond that I grew up with. So yes, nostalgia goggles. But no, I think he has a lot of suaveness that he adds to the role. And to me, he's just James Bond. Like when I think James Bond, I think Pierce Brosnan. Like the, the weird thing to me, it's like I kind of want to say it's like he's the most James Bond, but like but like he kind of isn't. Like he's not like
Yeah.
James Bond in the novels. But when you talk to someone like, oh, if they describe James Bond, they kind of describe Pierce Brosnan. At least people my age, with you, they're probably gonna, Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
Uh, my number 2 is Daniel Craig.
Wow. Okay.
I think I love like his arc through everything. I think he's a hell of a good actor. Um, honestly, it would be tied with him and Timothy Dalton. The thing that puts Timothy Dalton over Daniel Craig is because Daniel Craig, we have the full arc.
Fair.
Timothy Dalton leaves me wanting more.
Okay.
Just because like, he's been in 2 films and he's good, so freaking good in both of them. He's able to like, develop his own Bond even from like the first film because like Timothy Dalton's that great of an actor. Like he is amazing. Um really recommend watching the Flash Gordon movie from the 80s. He's really good in that and also good in Hot Fuzz. Sip it for Timothy Dalton here.
uh, Hot Fuzz is just a gem.
But like to me, it's like I'm satisfied with what we had with Daniel Craig.
That's
Even
fair.
like Spectre, I was satisfied with what we had with Daniel Craig. No Time to Die just was just like the cherry on top. That was amazing.
That's fair.
Timothy Dalton, I'm like, we should have got that third film.
Yeah.
We should have gotten that third film, and I'm upset that we didn't get that third film because it's like, oh, why is it only 2 movies?
That's fair.
And just before that feeling of like, I want more, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of satisfied with all. I mean, Lord Lazenby, Lazenby, I'm with Lazenby's case. It's like it'd be interesting to see how a second film would be. It's not like a need.
Right. It wasn't enough to give you that need. It wasn't. Like good for what it was worth, but not enough to give you the full picture of what it could have. Yeah,
Right.
I'm with that.
And Timothy Dalton, it's like, oh, what could have been?
Yeah,
It's like I picture like the third movie being like his best Bond movie that he was ever in.
yeah, I can agree with that.
And you know, that's literally it, because it was tough to choose between Timothy Dalton and Daniel Craig, because they're such good actors, and they play the part well, and they play the part especially from the book, because they read the books, and they really brought like James Bond from the books as much as they could without uh
Right.
since they were written in the 50s and 60s, so like social things have changed, so
Yeah.
a much as they could without like uh pissing off a bunch of
Yeah.
people.
All right.
uh
Well, with that, we've gone damn near 2 hours, if not over
oh
2 hours at
god.
this point. So, we're gonna wrap this section up. I know it's a long one, but if you've stuck it out to the end, thank you. I think this one was actually like a really good reflection on what we've been doing for the past
Yeah.
8 months.
uh,
Um,
i do I do have a question.
sure.
Was this an overall good experience?
I think so. I think so. Like part of me wishes that like I almost could have seen these in a format where we weren't doing a podcast, just so that I could like have done them more on enjoyment rather than like watching them for a need.
Right.
But I also know that there are several of these that I would have turned off if not for the podcast, and this definitely gave me the full view of things. So
Right.
yeah,
Well,
I absolutely.
yeah, I think, yeah. Are you a James Bond fan now? Did I convert you?
Okay, I'm gonna be reasonable and say that like there were some of them that were worth it that I guess I could reasonably be a B-rate fan, right? Like
All right. So
I
you're still a casual, but like,
right. My thing is that like I am not a person who rewatches movies very frequently. Like once I've
right,
seen it, it's done with very few exceptions. I don't know that any on this list for me will be in that category of I'll rewatch them. Um, but I wouldn't. There are certain ones on this list that I wouldn't be opposed to seeing again if the opportunity presented itself.
Moonraker.
Yeah, that one we'll do for a drinking game at some point. But goddamn. All right.
uh,
Anyway, let's wrap this up. Thank you guys for checking these out for the past 29 weeks, because we had 20,
20, yeah,
28 maybe 27 26 movies plus the
28 movies.
Bond like the Battle of the Bonds episode and this one. It's a lot of fucking episodes. That's what I know. I think this one gets uploaded as 29. I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
Anyway.
30 if you include the bonus episode.
Oh, right. God damn. Okay. Well, anyway, thanks for checking these out for 30 weeks. If you managed to stick around through all 2 hours of this one, congrats to you, but holy shit, man. What are you doing with your life?
Right.
Anyway, still looking for another franchise to do this with in the future, or possibly like a director's catalog, that kind of thing. So if you guys have any recommendations, requests, suggestions, drop them in
You
the
in like
comments.
November or December, because we need a freaking break.
Oh yeah, 8 months of this is a very long time. But thanks as always for checking this out. Be sure to check out the Discord. We'll do some more watch parties whenever we pick a next franchise, as well as some like community games and stuff, watching other streamers, that kind of thing. As always, you can catch both of us on Twitch, Stallman at Traductus and myself at Ted Green Eagles. And seriously, thank you guys so much for watching this. This has been a long work in progress, but we got there. All right, well,
Rest.
for the first time in the last 30 weeks,
Yeah.
see ya, and not next week.
See you guys.